I've made a spreadsheet to compile all the body data that I'm tracking. So in here, this is the main data I'm getting from my Oura ring. It's mostly about sleep metrics and like restfulness score for the day and resting heart rate. Um, and this is, I think, nothing too crazy here. It's not surprising that this data is highly correlated because sleep modulates all of these metrics. Then in here, this is the selected metrics, actually all of this, that I'm importing from a Garmin smartwatch. So I've got stress levels and body battery, which means it's like the average of my energy levels from 6 points throughout the day. And then all of this is repeated from Oura, but it's just kind of a second check to see that the data is being correct. Then third source of data, third device, is my continuous glucose monitor here. So yeah, here I'm getting really granular data every 15 minutes. So for now, what I did, I'm just doing an average for the whole day. And I was looking at it initially, and I thought this is kind of important because there's actually quite a bit of variety. And generally speaking, low is good. But now I'm starting to realize that standard deviation for the day is probably more important, and is not necessarily correlated with the average too closely, it looks like, which kind of surprised me. Like I do have days where both of them are high, but I do have days where like yeah, here low average, but very high deviation, and yeah, kind of vice versa a little bit in here or here. So, and I think standard deviation is more important because basically if it's flat, then it's kind of okay, even if it's a bit higher. But I need to look a bit more into this. For data source, this is not a sensor. This is something that I need to input manually, but it's MyFitnessPall foot tracking app. So actually, there I've got a bit more data, but all I put here is the total calorie intake for the day, which is kind of interesting, but doesn't necessarily tell me much on its own. And the second one, which I highlighted, is the because I'm tracking my macros, so it's the percentage of those calories for the day that came from carbohydrates. And I think this is very interesting because carbohydrates, generally speaking, spike glucose and influence energy levels. And that's what I want to look a bit more into. But I'm already seeing like just just by eyeballing it, like very high correlation. Like when my glucose standard deviation was high, like the percentage of my calories that came from carbs were also high. Um, yeah, not always though. Like there are exceptions in here, and I think it's because something else happened. Yeah, I've got some notes when something else was going on that day. I will get to that, but this is kind of the fun part, which I need to investigate more. And in here, this is the most recent stuff that I've started adding. So yeah, like Oura and Garmin data, I have imported from the beginning of the year. Glucose, I've only restarted measuring in the beginning of February, basically. So I've got 1 month. So now it's starting to be calibrated to be kind of useful. So this data source is self-reporting, but this is self-reporting in a qualitative way where it becomes a bit difficult to quantify what I'm trying to talk about. But at the same time, it becomes even more interesting. So I'm just starting to try to figure out a way how to record my energy levels in terms of how it actually feels on the day. Or like in other words, I'm trying to find a link between all of these quantitative metrics, which just track my biomarkers, to like how the heck does it actually feel inside of my body and mind. So I don't really know how to start quantifying this properly, but I think once I figure it out, that's when all of this data becomes really useful, because then I know which ones I need to pay the most attention to. Like right now, I think I know, but I'm kind of guessing. Like I know that when my body battery is low in the morning, like generally speaking, I'll be more tired in the day. And yeah, the same with like glucose standard deviation. I'll be probably a bit less energetic in the afternoon or feel a bit shittier. But like I don't really know. Like I don't really have a clear way to like link it to how it feels. So that's what I'm starting to try to establish. So that's like one interesting frontier for me. And second one, I've started to compile and create scores based on like selecting what I think are the most important metrics out of this, and how I can add them up with a formula to create like an overall score for the day. I've tried 3 different formulas. I think the third one is the best for now. But this is really like when it becomes guesswork, because um, like yes, which data points do I select? What weights do I assign to them? And stuff like that. So at the moment, I'm adding up my sleep score, my readiness score, um, and my body battery score for the day, which is all about kind of energy levels in a different way. I'm adding up my heart rate, actually I'm subtracting because this is inverted. Like the lower my resting heart rate, the better the day. Same with stress, I'm subtracting that. And then I'm adding 100x the standard deviation for glucose, which I do think is really important. But I don't know if 100x is the right factor, even though if I make it 100x, it's kind of roughly approximates these numbers, which is generally 0 to 100. And this is generally 0 to 1. So it kind of makes sense, I think. And then I'm starting to get, like the overall score for the day. And I can sort the data by the overall score. And then here, so days of the week, that's interesting. Like there are some clusters. Like actually, I don't know why Tuesday seems to be really good. And like weekend is kind of worse, which makes sense because on Friday maybe I'll go out and stay up late, and I will have like less regular eating intervals, or a bit shifted, stuff like that. So it makes sense. But then I'm also adding these notes, like what was happening that might have been special on that day. And I'm that's where I'm really trying to start mapping it to the overall score, and and establish how good the score is as well. So that's what I'm up to. Very cool. So it's like, I don't know, around 20 data points that are daily now. I'm importing them from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sources once a week. It takes me half an hour maybe, or a little bit more, to import all this data from the 5 sources and format them. Like some of them I just take as raw data, most of these, I think I just fix some formatting on like the durations and stuff because it comes in seconds. And some of them I need to calculate, like for the glucose averages and standard deviations. It's like, 4 times 24 data points each day, and then I need to calculate it. And so this is not so bad. I think this is pretty easy to keep just doing going forward, and most of this stuff is tracked automatically through my smart devices. Like the only thing that's a little bit of a pain in the ass is counting the calories and macros, which I need to manually input for every meal, but I've been doing it for over a month now, and I'm just used to it. It's not so bad. Like manually mapping energy and feeling is going to be a bit more of a hassle, but I'm going to figure it out as well. And I think for daily tracker is a good start. I'm probably going to add more data points as I progress. And I've also got, I didn't put in this data here, but I've got also this data, like weight, I've got on a weekly basis, and lab results from blood sampling. I've got, like testosterone, I've got on a monthly and bi-monthly basis now. And there is more, but I don't want to start mixing those with this yet. Because, like monthly metrics and daily metrics is a very different level of granularity. So I think I need to have a much larger data sample to correlate those with this and find long-term trends. So maybe that's for later. But that's what I have for now. Very cool. Right?